whatever happened to all of those high-flying 2020 pandemic COVID stocks that were just crushing it and absolutely destroying any type of performance metric? Hey, I'm Caleb Paddock, the founder of 10 Talents Financial Planning, and today we're doing a little bit of high-flying stock accountability. In 2020, all the rage was downloading Robinhood, start buying hot stocks, let's day trade, we're sitting at home, we got all this stimulus money. And yes, that was a lot of fun for a lot of people, but I wanna have some accountability here. I wanna have some follow-up here as we close 2021 to really kind of say, well, how are some of those high flyers doing this year? Is this something that we should have been participating in? Let's take a look. Some of these high flyer stocks that you'll see on your screen here, I would like to, follow up on. Let's take a look here. We've mentioned Zillow here on the channel, down about 50% year to date. These are 2021 numbers, so we're starting January 1, 2021. All of these companies crushed it, absolutely crushed it in 2020. But let's go down the list. Peloton, you've probably seen the ads for Peloton. This was a hot meme stock on the trading boards online. We're down 61%. Teledoc, you may have heard of this either through the pandemic on the hot stocks list, or you may have used the teledoc service. Many employers offer the teledoc for virtual healthcare services to call a doctor. Great service, but the company's down 27% year to date. And then you've got Zoom, right? Zoom's got to be doing well, right? It's definitely a pandemic stock. We're all still using Zoom, meeting with people on Zoom. It's down 26%. Year to date here at the beginning of November. But what I find is interesting, and which you may not realize, is let's take a look at just the S&P 500, just the 500 largest companies in the US, more like 495, 496. That index of 500 companies is up 27% here at the beginning of November. And so I share this with you to say, just because individual companies are struggling and not doing as well, that doesn't mean that the market as a whole is struggling. Further, if you're going to try to day trade your way through a pandemic or day trade your way to retirement goals, day trade your way to financial independence, I wish you good luck with that. Very, very difficult to actually consistently, year in, year out, perform in this way. I want to do one other one live, just to provide some perspective. One of the hottest funds last year was ARK. Many of you have heard of this fund, and I want to provide some accountability here. ARK did an absolutely incredible job during 2020 of getting ahead of a lot of these trends. But I want to show you that year to date, that fund is down 1.3%. And this illustrates a problem. When you have an active fund manager who crushes it one year, maybe you get in on the back end of that. You think, oh, this person knows the future. They're going to be able to predict returns and do very well. Over 5-10-year periods, that may be the case. But the problem in real time is this. The problem is that you'll have years like this year. And right now, if you own this fund, let's say you bought in during the middle of the pandemic last year, you got some real nice gains in 2020, you're hoping for a 2021, knock it out of the park, we're just gonna keep making 40, 50, 60% returns, no end in sight, to the moon, baby. Then you get a year like this year, you're down 1.3%, while the S&P 500 index is up 27. That's a little bit of underperformance, we'd say. Little bit, just a tad. Now the question you would have is this. If you're gonna stick with active managers, you have to make a decision. You have to say, do the managers over here in this ETF, actively managed, are they just having a bad year? Is this just kind of like an off-trend year? They're gonna be back at it in 2022. They could be. I mean, I might be back here at the end of 2022 showing you how they're crushing it in 2022 and having a bounce back year, but we don't know. So you really have to place your faith and your trust in these people managing this fund and their stock picking ability, because you're faced with a question. Do we kind of bail on this and say, well, they were really good during the pandemic year, 2020, but now they're kind of struggling, so let's get out? Or do you just pray and fold your hands every night and pray that they understand the future and they can see that crystal ball and be able to outperform or at least achieve those index fund returns? This is the real-time problem. Again, over a 5-10 year period, they might do very well as an actively managed fund, but in real time, this is what you're faced with. And if you're looking at the performance of these just baskets of companies where you're not stock picking, this can be very, very difficult to stick around. You're down, you're negative during a year where markets are up 20%. Like, can you stick around for that? Do you have the stomach to say, I believe in this person, I am going to stick with my managers through thick and thin? Do you have the stomach and the heartfelt beliefs to stick with that? If you don't, you may be better off going with a broadly, beautifully diversified basket of funds, because it is very difficult to stick with some of the active management in the off years. Even if you say, I think they're going to come back, I think they're going to do better in the future, they can see the future, they know what's coming, it can be very, very difficult in real time. So this has just been something that's on my mind. Again, this is cherry picking companies. Yes, this is cherry picking since the start of 2021, but this is people are invested in these companies. They bought them during the pandemic. They thought, like Zoom, like how could we go wrong with Zoom? It's down 27% so far this year. So just a recognition of the humility that we need to have, and not trying to time markets or try to buy hot stocks that can like, you know, make us rich and get ahead of the game. So I hope that's been interesting for you today, and thanks for watching here on the channel.